I agree. It was so nice seeing dancers of all ages perform so gracefully, and it was an amazing start to our program.
Coming up next, our guest of honor, Mayor Francis M. Womack.
As the mayor of North Brunswick Township, Mayor Womack plays an active role in our community. He has created and maintained an environment where local businesses can thrive, and he's the glue that binds our diverse community together.
He also helps NBT India Day flourish every year by showing continuous support to our community.
We would like to invite Mayor Womack up to say a few words.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. It's really an honor and pleasure to be here. As the mayor, it's always been a wonderful, wonderful pleasure to be able to represent the people of North Brunswick at this wonderful event. One of the things that I've learned so much from over the years is one of the things that makes being the mayor nice is that you get to invite me to things like this. I thank my wife Carol for coming with me this morning. It always makes everything I have to do as the mayor, and I get to do as the mayor, it's always so much nicer when she comes along with me, tells me what I do wrong, what I do right. Today we're here to honor the struggle for Indian independence and the fortitude and the courage of those millions whose sacrifice made that independence possible. Today, while we feel the pride of their great accomplishment, and while we celebrate the joy of freedom, let us remember that Independence Day itself is but a single moment in a much larger movement, a movement owned by the people of India, and one that must continue throughout our lives and the lives of our children and the lives of our grandchildren. The one side of Independence Day is a history of oppression under authority, a history of anger and of yearning for self-determination, a history of unity of the people, and not least the struggle and the sacrifice of heroes, some of whose names we know and we cherish, and some names we will never know. On the other hand, Independence Day is joy and obligation. The joy is that we have self-determination. The people of India have self-determination. The obligation is to honor the sacrifices of the heroes by making the independence good for all people and truly worthy of the sacrifices of those on the other side of Independence Day. Of course, I'm not from India, but I speak of our independence. I believe it is proper to do so. I do not share your family connections to India's independence, nor your deeper understanding of the history and the culture. I do share with each of you the certainty that human instinct for freedom and for self-determination. And also, we share the knowledge that once we are free as individuals, our objective must be to ensure freedom and guarantee respect for all persons. Independence Day, be it August 15th or July 4th, is not just a day to celebrate what happened on that day and to honor those who made the independence possible. It is also a day on which we must renew our pledge and our commitment to the ideals and the purposes behind the struggle for independence. We must accept our duty, a duty that weighs heavily on us as beneficiaries of independence and freedom, to make sure that the sufferings and the sacrifices of our forebears, those from the before side of Independence Day, will not be squandered, but will be cherished, refined, and improved for the good of all people. And we must also accept that our duty is not just for a day, a week, a month, a year. It is the commitment of lifetime. We must cherish the great gift of freedom and self-determination and make sure that it lives within us, not only for our lifetimes, but that it is passed, burning just as strongly as we received it to our children, and then to their children. We must acknowledge that the freedoms won 76 years ago in India, 247 years ago in America, are not guaranteed to survive another year. Only we, the children and beneficiaries of those independent struggles, can ensure their survival. We cannot honor Independence Day, and we have no right to celebrate Independence Day unless we are willing to make sure that the independence continues. A fight for independence is only as valuable as what we do with that independence. We do not throw off the yoke of a foreign tyrant only to wear the yoke of a homegrown oppression. What pride is there in a struggle for independence if the independence only brings regimes and governments that are as oppressive and cruel as those that they replaced? There have always been struggles, revolutions, revolts driven by that fundamental desire of the human soul to determine our own destiny. A very few such struggles have succeeded, most have failed, and those that have failed pay the ultimate price. Even when the fight has succeeded, many benefit the independence might have for the people has too often been quashed by installation of new despots, new warlords, or ineffectual and incompetent governments. After Independence Day, the victory is only as good as what the people do with it the next day, and the next year, and the next generation. India and its people have every reason to be extraordinarily proud, not only of what came before August 15, 1947, and also what followed. There was put in place by the people, by the leaders of goodwill, a democracy designed to serve not only the elites and the middle class, but also the poor. It has been said that India has demonstrated the longest, most sustained, and most successful trajectory of democracy anywhere in the colonized world. National independence in 1947 introduced the universal franchise and a system of electoral democracy that has remained stable for 8 decades. We must appreciate how rare this is in a world where the democratic rule has tended to rest on feeble foundations and often has given way to outright authoritarianism. One commentator has stated that since independence, democracy has perhaps, one commentator has stated, you gotta learn how to use your iPad. One commentator has stated that since independence, democracy has perhaps been India's greatest asset. It is a magic that has kept the country's dizzying array of linguistic, ethnic, and religious groups together as a nation. Moreover, Indian democracy is unique in the sense that the poor exercise their right to vote more eagerly and in greater proportion than India's middle class and elites. In India alone, the poor form not just the overwhelming majority of the electorate, but vote in larger numbers than the better off everywhere else, without exception. The ratio to electoral participation is the reverse. In America, we see today with horrifying clarity the ease with which post-independence democracy can slide from its democratic roots into an autocratic, authoritarian state. The time has come for Americans to acknowledge our after-independence obligations and make sure we do what is necessary to protect democratic principles and continue pursuing our dreams of equality and justice. If we fail to do so, we fail to honor America's struggle for independence. As we celebrate India's Independence Day, let us be joyful in our hearts, as our hearts are filled with gratitude for those who stood up for the cause, for the leaders who showed the world how to defeat an empire and with determination and with dignity, and for a country that chose a future of democracy and equality for all its people. Let us not forget, however, our own obligation these many years later, to do our part to ensure that democracy remains strong, that everyone's vote is counted, and that we remain true to the ideals of India's independence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your wise words. We appreciate that you took the time.
So just sorry for the interruptions. We have two things to be completed because this time we want to utilize for going through the proclamation we got from the township and from the state. The first one is coming from the township, and I'm inviting the President of the Council, Mr. Rajesh Mehta. Please do it. Yes, sir.
This is a proclamation from the township mayor and the council. Whereas on August 15, 1947, India gained an independence from the British Empire. The British Parliament approved the Indian Independence Day as of 1947. It allowed the Constituent Assembly of India to write the Constitution of India, marking the beginning of India's independence after nearly 2 centuries of British rule. And whereas the Indian independence movement was led by Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Patel through their message of non-violence and civil disobedience. They inspired civil rights leaders from around the world, and whereas India's Independence Day is one of the India's 3 national holidays, and it is celebrated by over 1.3 billion people around the country and the world, hosting ceremonies like flying and parades and events. Whereas diversity is one of the United States' great strengths, North Brunswick is proud to be home to a large Indian American population who contribute greatly to the social, economic, and civic health of our township. And whereas the goal of the NBT India Day Committee, in partnership with North Brunswick Township and the North Brunswick Township School District, it is organize an all-inclusive event that promotes cultural awareness and highlights of the importance of community integration. And whereas this year's theme, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, harmony of culture and science, which translates into United Nations, India is the best nation, harmony of culture and science, that this year's event will focus on culture and scientific harmony as it pertains to a united India, showcasing the achievements in Indian heritage in science, technology, and culture. And whereas the Township of North Brunswick proudly joins our Indian American community in celebrating India's independence. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Council of the Township of North Brunswick, hereby proclaim August 12, 2023 as India's Independence Day and call this observance of the attention to all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we acknowledge this proclamation from the township, and I have another one from the New Jersey General Assembly. So which is, I don't think we have already acknowledged it in our journal, and it's there. I don't know to just go over it again, but everybody has it on the journal. So we thankfully acknowledge these proclamations coming from the township and from the state, and I'll just proceed, give it to MCs, please proceed.
Thank you so much to Mayor Womack and Mr. Mehta for taking the time to come to our event today.
Yes, thank you so much. I can't wait to see the rest of our program. However, before we get into it, you're probably wondering who we are.
So, I'm sure you've seen this amazing group of MCs give it their all today, and essentially, we are the ones who are behind their success.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, we were the youth mentors for this year's MCs as they are too busy for you guys right now, so we've come to sub in for them. My name is Aruhi.
My name is Isha.
And my name is Ashna. Now that we've gotten the introductions out of the way, let's get to the good part.
Up next, we have the elementary Bollywood dance. These young kids will display how we can all celebrate India's soldiers and their sacrifices.
Their great song selection starts with songs like Suno Gaur Se Dunya Walo, which roughly translates to listen carefully, people of the world. The song essentially calls on people to pay attention to the world around them and to be aware of the issues and challenges faced by society. It encourages unity, compassion, and a sense of responsibility to bring about positive change.
One of their other songs, Rang De Basanti, showcases how fearlessly and joyfully our soldiers fight for our safety while being far away from home.
And with the classic patriotic song Vande Mataram from the movie ABCD 2, they signify India's struggle for independence and the country's rich cultural heritage.
I love how they included India's national song in their dance, and I can't wait to see it.
Without further ado, we welcome our participants, Vedika Vagani, Aryan Gogani, Ishan Srivastava, Vihan Srivastava, Nikansh Goyal,
Harini Gupta, Kanishka Chavda, Anya Chauhan, Nidesh Gupta, and Prisha Sehgal.